Hey ladies and gentlemen, Steven here from Redolessence. Welcome back to another video. In today's episode, we're going to be taking a closer look at the brand new fragrance 2021 release by the company Pearlescent Parfums. This one is called Midnight Jasmine. This is the third fragrance in the collection. I'm excited to give you my thoughts on it, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin my fragrance review of Midnight Jasmine by Pearlescent Parfums, and I tell you all about this fragrance, what it smells like, how it stacks up against the other two, seasons, occasions, all that good stuff, I do want to mention that if you are a fan of fragrance-related content, please do consider supporting this channel by subscribing to it. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. It would help out tremendously, and also enable all notifications by clicking on the bell icon. It would really mean a lot. So the perfumer for this is Daniel Gallagher. Daniel Gallagher, of course, has his other brand called Gallagher Parfums. Here we have, or Gallagher Fragrances, I should say. This is called Pearlescent Parfums. And this is an endeavor that he embarked on along with his wife. And so they have the previous two fragrances where I didn't publish my video on it yet, but I did record a video on those two a long time ago. It's about time that I publish it. And here we have the third installment, which is called Midnight Jasmine. Now, of course, as the name conveys, this is going to be a bit of a darker release, and the namesake of the fragrance Jasmine is certainly in there. And one thing that he does with his other brand that he also does with this brand too is he lists all of the notes on the back of the box. And so you have everything ranging from apple crisp to plum to cinnamon to jasmine to rose to honey, brown sugar, so on and so forth. And this is a perfect autumn fragrance. I'm excited to give you my thoughts on the smell, tell you what it reminds me of, and also let you know what notes from this fragrance stand out the most. But let's go ahead and take a close look at the presentation. So as soon as this fragrance opens, you are going to get that jasmine note. There is an overdose of jasmine in this fragrance, but in the best possible way. Now, because there's an overdose of jasmine doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to smell, detect, or perceive any of the other ingredients in here. You certainly will, but you are going to get a breath full of jasmine right in the opening, and it's a very nice, exotic, intoxicating kind of a jasmine note. And if you know, jasmine fragrances can tend to be a little indolic, which means they're a little funky, a little animalic, and barnyard-like. That's not what you're going to get in this fragrance. It doesn't smell musky or animalic or anything like that, but it actually smells nice and clean in the opening. But then the secondary note of this perfume would be that honey note. Now, does it say, yeah, so it says golden honey. So there's a specific variety of honey, but I do get honey in here because it actually lends a little bit of a powdery quality to the composition. So you're gonna get this clean, non-indolic jasmine note in the opening. You're going to get this sweet, viscous, thick, syrupy, slightly powdery honey note, which is secondary to the jasmine. The tertiary note is going to be the cinnamon. And so it kind of puts you in that autumnal mindset. You have this cinnamon spice in here, very festive, perfect for the fall. And if there's one season that I would say is the perfect season in which to wear this fragrance, it 100% is the fall. And here's why. It actually reminds me of a few other fragrances. So he's done another fragrance for Gallagher Fragrances that smells similar to this one. But if I were to compare it to some popular niche brands, I would say Oajan by Parfum de Marly, Ambre Narguilé by Hermès, Manhattan by Roja Parfum, and then there's also Angel Share by Kilian Paris. So if you are aware of all of those other fragrances, you are going to get something that is in a similar vein with this particular fragrance. However, in this fragrance, you are going to get a lot of jasmine in the opening. And I think the jasmine is really what separates it and distinguishes it from those other popular niche fragrances, all of which I own, by the way, and I think they're all amazing. And so this does does fall in line with those fragrances. However, a little bit more on the floral side, which I think is a really, really nice touch. And I think it also increases the versatility of this fragrance in terms of whether it would be appropriate for a man or a woman. I think this is totally gender neutral, totally unisex. And yeah, you do get accents of the apple and the plum and the brown sugar. There is like a sugary quality in this one as well. And so I'm really enjoying how all of those ingredients sort of coalesce to create the overall vibe of this fragrance. And I think it's a perfect scent for the autumn in terms of everything that he has so far with Baklava and the second release, which is a little bit on the floral side. It's a rose-based fragrance. I think this is the one that I can see myself wearing in the autumn the most comfortably, and I'm really enjoying this. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. So first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, this is a fairly unique fragrance, given the fact that I did make a few other comparisons throughout the course of this video, but I do actually find it to be pretty unique on account of the apple, the plum, and also the jasmine. The jasmine is really the standout note in this fragrance. I think it's very well blended, perfect for the autumn, and the overall smell is very appealing as well. And so I personally did get a nice remark from my wife when I was wearing this one, and she didn't find this one to be floral as well, or I should say she didn't find this one to be particularly floral, but me having had experience with Jasmine perfumes, I can tell you this one is kind of on the floral side, but it doesn't overwhelm or overshadow the other notes. In terms of the longevity, you can expect 8+ hours. Sometimes I got as much as 9 or 10 hours. In terms of the projection, projected really well within an arm's length for the first 1.5 to 2 hours of application. It did not start to sit closer to the skin until about that 6.5 to 7 hour mark. Versatility is great. Colder weather, I think it would be amazing. I wouldn't wear this one in the spring and summer. Pretty much the autumn and the winter is where it's at. I think this is perfectly unisex. I think the sweetness in this fragrance would appeal to somebody who's a little bit younger, and I think the complexity of the blend and the darkness of the blend would appeal to somebody who's a little bit older. And I think in terms of the presentation, it's a really nice presentation. I love the marble look of the cap, the name, the way that it smells, everything about it, I think comes together very nicely, which also contributes to the presentation. So my final verdict on this fragrance is, if you are a fan of something a little bit on the darker side, if you like sweet fragrances, cinnamon, plum, apple, if you like fragrances like Owajan by Parfum de Marly, or even Angel Share by Kilian Paris, definitely check this fragrance out. I think you're gonna love it, and I'm personally a fan of it, and I can't wait to wear it more this autumn because this is the perfect season for it. So there you have it, ladies and gents. Thank you so much for joining me today. That was my review of Midnight Jasmine by Pearlescent Parfums. If you own or have tried this fragrance, please let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. Also, if you are new to this channel and you took something of value from this video, please do consider supporting this channel by subscribing to it. All you got to do is click on that red button in the corner. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm, and also enable all notifications by clicking on the bell. Thanks again for watching. Love you all. We'll see you soon.